everybody. Welcome to the Hustling Sideways podcast, episode 67. I'm Allen Halas. I'm a music writer.
That was so official. Episode 67. I'm Jim Levin. I'm a keynote and motivational speaker, and we are back.
We are back in the same room, which is great. We just figured out that it was episode 67, so I believe in Roy Furr's episode. Yeah. In Roy Fur's episode, there's a part where you're like, oh, is it 63 or 64? No, that was 66.
Yeah. So who knows? Doesn't matter. Numbers don't matter.
Numbers don't matter. I actually have it in my Instagram bio that I'm bad at math and parking cars, and I will stand by that.
Yeah, of course. And actually, my favorite joke I go to when I'm talking to high school students, particularly because it's makes true with them, I say, you know what? I hate math so much that geometry can kiss my angle side.
No.
There for a second, I walk away and I come back because they're all laughing because that's pretty fun.
Good. I like it.
Yeah, you're here first. We have a really cool thing.
Yes. This highbrow podcast.
Yes. Is now a Forbes.com.
Yes.
Which, if you don't know, Forbes is a cool website that talks about a lot of stuff. In particular, they talk about side hustles.
They talk about side hustles. They talk about money. A lot of times, money, business. People know Forbes.
Being facetious. Yes, everyone knows what Forbes is. But I had an opportunity, at this point now, about 2 months ago.
I know
it's so weird. I'm just here to be reporting these way before they're introduced. So some of the things that we say probably aren't going to be true. But we're just going to start making claims.
Remember that time the smoke was coming in from Canada?
Hopefully a long time ago. But I was asked about the Manpower Group, which is where I work, an amazing organization, to talk about side hustles with a interviewer, Mark Curry, very familiar, now follow me on Twitter. Hey, Mark. And I didn't know that my comments over email would be the majority of the article. And I was really flattered by that when it came up. So I got a chance to talk about why side hustles matter to a younger generation. The only thing is I was mistakenly labeled as Gen Z, and I am not Gen Z.
You know what? Sometimes I feel like you could pass it.
I could. No, and I that's a good point. I do connect with Gen Z for the most part, but I am not that. Otherwise, it was a great time, and I was happy to be part of it. And now we are, again, as mentioned by Forbes, a podcast insider. So if you came here as that Forbes article, welcome, and I hope you enjoyed it. And that's what I got to say about it.
Yeah. Now, speaking of, we are the illustrious Hustling Sideways from Forbes magazine.
We are.
But also speaking of Manpower Group,
yes.
That brings us into today's guest.
Transition of the year.
Yes.
So we have a wonderful guest, one of my favorite colleagues I get to work with on a daily basis. Well, not daily basis, but often, I would say quite often. It's Kajal Sethi. She is a program manager, like what's happening, it's where we work, but also the owner of Vilasa, which is a shop with very, very cool, wonderful bespoke items that I want Kajal to get into today. So, Kajal, welcome to Hustling Sideways.
67 episodes in. Still no applause track.
Nope. That's okay.
Well, thank you so much, guys, for having me. I've been following your podcast for a bit now. Never imagined I'd be on this side of the camera. So thank you for having me. It's a huge honor. Get to strike something off the bucket list. So happy to be on here. And I'll tell you a little bit about myself. Mm-hmm. I was born in India, raised in India in the capital, Delhi. Moved to US in 2004. Before that, I did my bachelor's in economics, MBA in HR, and then lived in Jersey for 16 years once we moved. And then we moved to Texas for my husband's job. We've been here 5 years. I like to call it a trilogy. I'm hoping this is it. I'm not much of a mover. My husband is, so we'll see where we land. And a little bit about my family. Been married with my husband for 19 years now. Not dating myself at all. And then he's super smart, supporting, caring. I've got 2 kids with him, 8 and 13. And what I like to call a blank space for a dog. All my friends know I want a dog, never owned a pet. So it's known to the universe I want a dog. So that's what I say. There's an imaginary dog in the family too. Hopefully I get one soon.
You're talking to both dog owners.
Yes.
One for a couple of years.
Yes.
I've never had one until
one very new as of 3 months ago.
Yes.
I have them my whole life, but it is a lot of work, I guess. I mean, I love my dog. Let me be clear about that. But you're not missing that much.
She's got kids. She's not worried about the dog. The dog's a cakewalk by that point.
It's an imaginary dog.
So
Don't have to send them to college,
yeah, dog school is not the same exactly. But
yeah.
My dog just went through and passed, I think.
I would argue that dog school and college kind of the same
They
thing.
pretty much are.
Teach you how to behave a little bit.
Have the treats.
A lot of treats.
Yeah,
Oh, actually,
and that's
really,
the exact same thing.
pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
But that's wonderful. So obviously great. And you and I got a chance to meet in person last year for the Continued Work Summit. It was awesome. And I know you're local to Texas. That's where that conference is at. And it was really cool having a presence there. But tell us about how you got into the staffing world, which is how you and I know each other. And then we'll go into some more about what you're doing. And I'll be curious of that, kind of that.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a regular one? A lot of people say they got in by mistake or, weren't going to be lifers, or that's usually the way that people phrase how they live. So tell us a little bit about that journey.
Okay, so I'll back up into my career a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I did 10 years on the agency side. We are what we consider staffing very loosely so people can digest, they'll ask you what you do and I feel bad for them immediately. I'm like, are you sure you want to know? You're going to be bored. It's a long answer. You sure about that? So then we moved on to Manpower Group. Jim knows that. So I feel like I heard someone say this. The simplest way to say is we help people hire talent, help companies hire talent. I'll leave it at that. And then into all of that, yes, I love my company, love my boss. I love my day job. So that's not a reason to get into this at all. I'm hoping for a promotion, director, if my boss is listening. So come into all of that. What's that? Sorry.
I like that. We would all
speak that into existence.
I don't even work there. I'll take the promotion.
I throw a lot of vibes into the universe, whoever's listening. So bring into that Vilasa. I'll tell you a little bit about Vilasa. So the company was founded in India last year by 3 ladies who happened to be childhood friends. They went to boarding school together and they've been friends for decades and they did these world travels together. I feel like they're so fortunate to do this. Not many friendships last that long and so thick. They travel to Europe, Asia, everywhere. And one of those ladies happens to be my sister-in-law.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. We're going to pause for 1 second just because your computer might have something about to pause.
We lost you.
Did I cut out?
I think we're back. Hang on 1 second. I think you're good now.
Yeah, I think we're back.
We lost you for 10 seconds after you said one of the ladies was your sister-in-law. And then after that, we lost you for...
Okay, so yes, Vilasa was founded by 3 friends, childhood friends. They traveled to various places together and the products are inspired by their travels. So they traveled to Europe, Asia, they started designing products. Vilasa products are designed by us. They are manufactured exclusively for us. So you will not see a Vilasa product with any other company. A lot of people do this, they'll source things from India, but you're talking multiple levels, multiple chains. Here, it's not that, we're talking directly to the manufacturer and then it's just coming in your hands. So yes, we as a family traveled to India in March and we happened to see these products. I don't know if you heard the part, one of those ladies is my sister-in-law. Mm-hmm. That's how we got to know of the shop. Immediately fell in love with the products, felt compelled. We were like, yes, I can put my name to this. I can stand behind this. I feel good selling this. So we felt a strong urge to bring it to our family and friends here in US, bring unique Indian treasures. Me and my husband, we are first generation Indian immigrants, right? So we've always felt this strong urge to leave a legacy for our kids. We've been very grateful, gotten a lot of opportunities from these from the country. So want to make something more out of this, leave this for the kids. And I will say, when we explore home stores around us, big brand stores, right? We feel like America is lacking at some level for products at this price point that are built to last, that are not mass manufactured, that are made the old fashioned way. They're handmade. So it's very limited edition. You're not going to get we cannot produce hundreds of them. It takes time to make them. So that's how Vilasa came into existence. That's the hope and dream that, while they're made the old fashioned way with, natural materials and techniques, they're good for any contemporary home. And that's why, we felt like we really want to do this and get behind this.
Sure. Give us an example of kind of some of the products that you guys sell. Are they like household items? Are they wearables? Like, what do we have?
So you'll have like coasters and cheese boards and cheese knives and cake serving, cake servers and jewelry boxes, trays, that type of stuff.
Oh,
we are coming up with a lot of new products. I can barely keep up. I'm like, is this on the website? Is this on Instagram? We're going to show it everywhere. I cannot keep up because, with the day job, I mean, I'm very grateful for scheduling on Instagram. I didn't know that was a thing. I was super fascinated to see that. I'm like, you can just put content over the weekend and you're all set for the week. That's a miracle. I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, we use that for this podcast
all the time.
Yeah.
What was the response like? When you obviously once you felt really compelled and called to do this and to be a part of it. Was it like an immediate thing for you when you got back of like this has to happen? Did it take a little while? What was like that process like? And did you find people interested right away in working with you, or did it take a little while to start building up what you have? Because the site's great. It sounds like you really have some good plans. So what was it? What was that process?
You're asking about how it started?
Yeah. Like when you got, was it like an immediate sort of thing, or did it take a little while, or how long did that take to actually get off your range?
So I will say like, if I heard you correctly, I'm sorry, just struggling with hearing you a little. I will say, some teething things, some things we are running into as we get our feet wet. It's a lot of like, what to do with inventory, like how to stock things, what to get how much off, like, what will people like? What I did was I surveyed my friends and I got all different answers. What I thought would sell, heard something completely different. They were like, no, I think we'd like to go for the cheese boards. I'm like, okay. And that is something that our founders in India struggle with as well. They may do an event and the first night something may be sold out. And the second night at the same exact spot, it'll be something entirely different. So go figure, it's like super unpredictable. I'm like, yeah, we're trying to keep a little bit of everything. But if you're going to ask me for 5 of something, you got to wait. Like, just give us some time. I can't just we're trying to figure that out, as well as the pricing, like you're getting stuff from India and some of it is marble. It is heavy. So shipping is a big part of it. So we want to try and price it right. So it's fair to people, it's a realistic price, but also, it takes into account everything that goes into it. And
that was actually something I wanted to ask too about the logistics of it, of bringing products in from, had you had any experience with shipping things over from India in a massive quantity like this to have a store's worth of inventory?
It's all brand new. We are super green. And, I'm admitting it, but we are learning things every day, like that's not something we've done in the past. Like maybe mom will send some treats and that'll be like it. Like, I know something in career, like, yes, with some contacts managed to get a better price than what you would pay just for like regular, right? So we really loved into that. My brother, he knew someone who works in logistics, so he was able to give us a sweet price. But we are figuring it all out, a lot of new things. It's a whole different thrill than what I do in my day job, right? I mean, what is going to click with people, which post or which reel is going to be liked more. My daughter is super obsessed with it. She's a 13. So of course she's like, how do you grow your followers? And how can you make a cool reel? She's an artist. So she hand painted a Vilasa sign for us. Yeah, she's really into it. And, a couple of weeks back, we did an event, took the sign with me. Now I'm superstitious. I want to take it everywhere. I'm like, this is my good luck charm. And she's a Canva champion. So she's always like, she was obsessing with the light for this podcast right now. She's like, needs to be a certain way. I'm like, Nisha, I'm done. Like this is enough. And she's like really into it, like super thorough. You give her any Vilasa task and she'll light up. She wants to be a part of it. That's awesome. All coming together, trying to put something out for people, hopefully that they like. We signed up for some events in the fall we just have to be super careful and intentional with our time and resources. It's not the same thing as someone who's just an entrepreneur. No knock on them. It's a lot of work, but it's not that I have all day to be doing this. I have just a few limited hours. And then same thing with the money. You got to sell some pieces to kind of feel in a break-even position. Yes, I would love to sign up for events that cost hundreds of dollars, but we are not there yet. So we have to be super intentional with where we are going, trying to gauge the audience who's going to appreciate it. And the first event we did was like parents with young kids. And I can see someone like thinking that, oh, my kid is going to probably break that. So they may consider it for gifting, but you have to be, we learn new things every day about which audience this may click with. So, yeah.
That's great. I want to go back to one thing when you started the response out to this question, like that you are green, and we all start that way. And I think the process of that and you learning is terrifying to see.
Oh, absolutely.
And like, that's the difference to me of a side hustle and being passionate about something. That's what I think people that think the way you think are going to succeed, because you have to enjoy that process. Like, I had no idea, but I still frankly don't what I'm doing when it comes to contracts and, like a logo. It's just so many things I had to learn about what business is like. And that can be a really distracting and brutal process that would drive a lot of people away from wanting to do something that you're doing. But you're like, I'm going to learn this and I'm going to like it. And you're getting your family involved to a point where it's actually bringing you together like that. That's such a difference to me. And mindset of other people, like I have to learn how to do this. I've never done it before. It's like, oh, I'm starting this new thing. Like, it's almost like out of spite that you have to figure it out. Like, if you don't enjoy the process, it's probably not the right thing for you to do.
Yeah, absolutely. When you started doing events and getting set up with things like that, how did you kind of go about the process of finding like the right event for you? And what was that, initial setup like for you?
So that one just kind of fell in our lap. It was like a week's notice. And we were like, are we doing this, not doing this? So that was just like getting our feet wet. It was a somewhat smaller event. I will say most of all, maybe it prepared me to gauge the kind of questions we get. How do you care for this product? Or like just things like that. It was a smaller audience. I feel like, the price point that these things are at, I admit and I realize that, sometimes if people know you or they can see things in person, it might sell better. We even met with some friends who said, a couple who was like I consider very worldwide, and they're like, you need to put this stuff in people's hands. And, I understand we are an online shop, but they're like, they need to really see it in their hands, feel it in their hands to see how well made it is. It is, a heavy thing. You can feel it in your hands. So it's not like something flimsy or like something for a season. This is something that is meant to last, to hand down to future generations. And that is one of the reasons why we are very obsessed about the packaging as well. So it comes with like a plush bag to put it in, like oftentimes a box. We want people to have that feeling. Like I got my first Louis Vuitton bag. It came like in a box. It came like in a bag. I'm like, yeah, I'm holding something very precious in my hand. Or like a box of chocolates. It should give you joy. It should not be just something you bought on the fly and you're going to forget about tomorrow. No, it's meant to last. So all of that went into it. That first event, we were like, more than anything else, we are going to just enjoy it. But now, I have a mentor, the lady who runs my gym. She's a mentor, she's running multiple businesses, and she's like telling me, she's like, you got to be fierce about it. You're talking to a room full of people. If I'm not making them aware about me being a business owner of Vilasa, have them talk about Indian culture and this is handmade and everything. That's something that didn't come naturally to me, I'll be honest. I'm like, at first I'm like just sneaking it in. Oh, I'm a business owner. I'm like, don't be half-hearted about it. Tell them the whole thing, own it, embrace it. You're so passionate about it, share it. So then, some of the events are people where I know that I'm going to know some of the people. So they already know that I'm going to sell them like my name is attached to it. They've known me for some time. They know that I'm not here to make quick money. I'm going to send them something that I know will hopefully bring them joy. So trying to combine both of those things, trying to get into events where hopefully some people know us. And then, we obviously meet that other goal of having people touch those things in person, feel them for themselves. Because I feel like I try to make a pretty Instagram page, but I don't feel like it does justice to the product. And we are not at a point that we can have a physical shop. That may be a dream for some time, but not right now. So that's where we are at.
Oh, that's great. And I really appreciate because there's such a personal and intimate part of what you're doing. It's ingrained in you. It's who you are. It's in your culture, and you have an affinity for that. And I agree. Like that's what people need to hear. And when that passion really comes out, it's a product. It's one that you care about. And sure, they can get products from different places, but the story behind it, how it's made, the legacy that you want to leave behind it too, like that's the brand. And I think that's what sets it apart from a lot of others, which is why I was so interested in it. But I could tell it was cool and it meant something to you. And I think a lot of times people forget that. Like what's behind the thing you're doing? I mean, I'm a speaker. Like there's clearly things behind what I'm doing and why I want to do it. And every time I get a chance to show that, that's the magic. That's the magic behind it. And I can tell you have it, which is just awesome. It makes to grasp onto that and have that be part of the story. And look at your website, like it's still there, which is really cool. And it's different than what the norm sort of is for, handmade, whatever you want to call it, but really that feeling of getting something that's a gift that means something.
It's like having your story attached to
That's
it,
exactly
and yourself attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, every product that they make comes with a story. So, we are actually even considering doing this, like maybe have some cards in there that tells the story behind the thing. Like I'll give an example of like coasters. We have glass coasters that are inspired by water paintings. So like those coasters, they are cut in one place. The sheet of glass is cut into shapes of coasters. Then it goes somewhere else for printing. Then it comes back for like a brass rim. So I feel like, there's at least a dozen people who are putting their, it's a labor of love. They're putting their good vibes into it before it gets into someone's hands. So it really is a story attached to it. And that's what I'm finding since the launch of Vilasa. I'm discovering new parts of my personality. I've always had like a guiding principle. If you got nothing good to say, don't say anything. Try not to be negative, just keep it to yourself. But now on the other side of it, I feel like if I've got something good to say, and you all may relate to this, you have this podcast. So like if you got something empowering to say or something that may be useful to someone, something that may make someone laugh, I do a lot of humor. I try to. I like my own jokes. And so just say it. That's my job, to have my voice heard and, get my voice out to people. So I feel like I'm opening up more. I'm gaining confidence. You're lifting this baby off the ground. So I feel like I can do hard things. It's the same kind of feel good you get after you lift weights at the gym. I have a lot of gym analogies. I went to the gym today, but I don't want it to become a power trip. I don't want it to get to someone's head. You see people around you, and I just feel like you want to stay humble and grounded. You can learn a little bit from everyone. So just want to stay humble and gratitude attitude.
Yeah, I love it.
Did you have any sales experience before this, or like anyone in your family have experience with like selling things? Because it's an acquired thing, I think, to learn how to, there's like a nice balance of like, I want to sell you this thing, but I don't want to talk you ear off. Yeah, I don't want to outsell you. You know what I mean? Like, and to the point where you're like, enough. So did you have experience, or someone in your family have that sort of experience?
I'm so glad you asked. I have experience selling Girl Scout cookies.
1 second.
My girl.
Okay, let's bring it back from there. Sorry, we lost you for a second.
We lost you for like 5 seconds. Hang on.
At the start of that season, can you hear me?
Okay. All right, now you're back. You're good.
You froze for a second. Where did you lose me?
All right, we lost you for a second there. Okay, so you sell Girl Scout cookies?
Yeah.
Yes. So my daughter has been a Girl Scout for 6 years now. We sell Girl Scout cookies, and at the start of every season, the Girl Scouts organization will tell you, you're going to learn confidence, and you're going to learn decision making and time management and money management, and learn how to deal with a no. I've always felt like, I'm selling this alongside with her, but I want to learn those skills for myself. I feel like that's something everyone can improve upon. I feel like I want to bring those skills to my work. So it was a personal calling for me. I'm like, I want to do better with those things. Over the years, my year-end reflections, my bosses would always say, like, Kajal, you know your stuff, you know what you're saying, but you don't speak up. You need to have more confidence. You need to trust yourself. So this thing helps with that. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing hard things. Trying to predict. I'm doing all these things. And I'm finding that I'm being able to bring that to my work.
I love it. And there's, I call them unintended positive consequences of taking on something you're passionate about. This happens to me constantly with my work where I'm gathering something I learned from speaking, from doing leadership workshops. That's been a lot of leadership workshop sessions. Yeah, this is all you know about this. And I could grasp onto some of that knowledge and experience and bring it every day to what I do, and it makes it way more fun because you're like, okay, like it's building the confidence is so important in whatever role you're in, but you're really stepping outside your comfort zone and learning some of this, and that will only make you better as a leader, as a business owner, probably as a mom. I mean, all the things that come about from the confidence you can gain. But I think that's spot on, and a lot of people don't realize that. Like you don't necessarily understand those consequences that you're living in, but the process is full of them. If you keep going through it, fail a little bit, learn from it, and grow, and there's always going to be something good that comes after it. So that's a great perspective because I think it's spot on.
Yeah, absolutely. What were the first lessons that you taught? Sorry, I'm dying here for a second. What were some of the initial lessons that you had learned from some of your first events, and how did you kind of build on this?
We've done just one event yet, all honesty, right? And that's what I would say I've learned the most, try to gauge the audience. You try to gauge where it's going to click. Who do you think is your perfect audience? Yes, gifting could apply to anyone, but I want to try and start out with people who know me. Like my husband always says, I want to try and be fair by people, try and be good by them, try and do I'm going to sound sappy, but I'll just say it. Try and radiate positive energy. My family knows me and they laugh. They're like, you're always with 5 exclamation points and 2 heart emojis. And Jim knows that and he's laughing. So that's just me. So that's what, when my husband and I talk, he'll be just like, you do you continue to do what you're doing. What I said earlier, I got to make people aware that I'm doing this. I cannot be shy about that. But beyond that, I don't have to be annoying or pushy, then it's up to them, if they want to go ahead with it or not, they want to purchase or not. I'm learning that good things take time. I can sometimes get restless. This is not a sprint, it's a marathon. So, and I know that I'm in the hardest part of it right now, lifting it off the ground. So I know good things should come and just need to wait it out for that. And, let some time pass and grow your reach a little and then see what happens.
And I know one thing you and I talked about this week, actually, and I know this is going to be 2 months from now when that comes out, but bear with me. After the Forbes article came out about, sort of the employer reaction to taking on something you're passionate about, which is, not always for your day job, not always the most positive conversations, because actually you just have that was in your reaction. And I know you told me that the support you received from your manager, from a company that Manpower we work with, was the same as mine, which was super positive. So tell me a little bit about that, of when you kind of started this and when you nervous to bring it up as something like this is what I'm going to be doing, and what was the initial reaction like of support
My boss has been super supportive of everything, and she's not with me on social. I know some of my peers are. So I'm like, I'm going to tell you just as a courtesy that I'm going to start to do this. And she was just the most chill person about it. She's like, I hope it brings you money. That's exciting. I'm like, all right, that's all there is to it. That was short and sweet. So I love this thing about our organization. They're with the times. They normalize it. They are not super rigid or traditional or, for lack of better, uptight about it. So I really, really do appreciate that. I feel like it allows me to bring more to my table, knowing that, they've got my back, right? They are taking care of me and I just got to do my best. I got to bring my whole self to my job and try and do the best with these hours and then with those hours. So, yeah.
I love it. I mean, Manpower Group gets it. I mean, it's not like we're paid to say that or something. It's a real statement. And I've had the same experience. I'm actually as a co is very good, a social media friend with the people that I report to. And so they're going to find out sooner or later, right? But we've been very good friends for a long time. There's been nothing but support, nothing but enthusiasm, because they know that me, and I know it's time for you, pursuing things that we're really passionate about outside of our 9 to 5 is critical for our engagements and overall, I think longevity. And so not only is there support, but almost like, yeah, keep going. Like, that's great, do that and learn from it. And it's made me better in what I do. And it's made me more loyal to the organization, frankly. And on the leadership within the support. And that's so critical. And
that's just amazing. I mean, they do the best things, in this economy, like, it's kind of unpredictable, but the things that they do, that they just, I'm in awe of them, and I'm a fan. And, there's always been a certain level of flexibility, always been very good about it, but I really do appreciate it. And, I'll say this about the side hustle, like, yes, it is exciting to do it. It might be appealing to many people, but it can be exhausting. It can get hectic. There can be burnout. So I will say that is something you should be super excited about. You should feel really passionate about, because that's what's going to keep you going. Like, otherwise, the idea of it is great, but when you get into it, it can be like a lot. Like, my friends are sitting there watching Netflix, or they're out somewhere while I'm doing this. Like, why? So you have to feel so strongly about it to be able to do it. Like, I know we wanted to do this for the longest time. My husband would like joke. He's like, I am going to just retire and be in a bookstore and be surrounded by books. Or like, when I moved recently to the US, I would go to Pier 1 and get all like, wow, like, this is the most amazing place. And I want to work here on the holidays, be surrounded by pretty things, and I'll be all set. Well, they went out of business. I'm glad that I'm getting to be surrounded by pretty things. But you have to feel really excited. You're supporting a dying industry. When we went to India in March, we visited the Taj, and we spoke to some of those artisans, and they told us about how they're struggling to keep their future generations in this. They want to move towards like more IT jobs and call center jobs. And by selling these products, we are telling them there is livelihood to be had here. There's an international market for this. So that alone, that is a feel good. Having your friends and family see the joy of what you've enjoyed so much, these products that will last you for a while, just that whole process is exciting, and some of these, the marble products that we have, the technique and the materials that are used are the same that were used to create the Taj Mahal hundreds of years back. It's inlay work, and it's precious stones, and it's marble. So it's just, that line is my most favorite, that whole collection, the marble collection. So you feel good about supporting that. It's for a good cause. Yeah. And that is what keeps us going.
Yeah. And you brought up something too, is that, current generations are moving more towards IT and call center and stuff. In your case, you've got your daughters helping you, and you've got your husband is helping you as well. And it's part of culture too. You're kind of, is there some gratification knowing that your daughter is going to be participating in this, and that there's your heritage and your culture, and she's learning probably about that through these products and through, what you're doing as their side hustle?
Yeah, I feel like it's very nice to see. And sometimes I feel like she'll embrace it more than sometimes even we may. She'll like, yeah, I'm going to bring out my Indian attire. And, my son may be still a little like, he's like, oh, let me just have like an American lunch. And we laugh about it. I'm like, why an American lunch? Like, why not an Indian lunch? He's like, I'm not going to be able to explain it. And he's like just 8-year-old, but, he wants to get involved with this stuff too. And he's like, what is all the fuss about in this house? Like, it's Vilasa. He's like, I want in on the action. So he'll try to get involved in his own way. But yeah, definitely Misha, my daughter, like she will want to be more into it. She is good about embracing it. And now she is seeing firsthand, we are getting this source from India. I do want to take a moment to express gratitude for my family. My sister-in-law, like, first off, I've always had a mindset that I don't want to do business in family. I'm like, that's messed up. I'm not going to do it. And here I am, doing this with her. I've known her for over 20 years, and she's a conservative person. We would talk but mostly on birthdays. You move here, you get a little bit distant. That's just something that's part of it. You get distant. So we would talk over birthdays, but now we are talking so much. I feel like I'm making up for those 20 lost years. I'm talking at a new level. You get to appreciate someone on a work level. She's a very confident woman, super creative. So I'm getting to appreciate all those work aspects of it that I think is a hidden blessing of Vilasa. And come to think about it, we are 9,000 miles away. I personally, I know there's a lot of side hustlers. They do cool, amazing things. I couldn't wrap my head around doing something literally from the ground up with no help. We get help from them. They'll build content. We collaborate with them. Mm-hmm. They help design these products, right? And every product goes through, I would say, a dozen quality checks before it even comes to us. Oh, so wow. we cannot, imagine doing this without their help, right? So that's something to be definitely grateful for. When we started the business, I'll share something funny. I'd create these reels and posts and everything. And sure enough, the first or second likes would be my mom and my mom-in-law. And I'm like, stop it. That's not cool. Don't do this anymore.
There's always a supportive mom out there. That's it.
Yeah.
And then now you're getting to the point there are other people too. So I'm like, yeah, that's a sure sign that we are growing. Someone can beat my mom to it. They're quick.
They're good. Yeah, that's a good sign, I would say. Like moms are always the first. And if you can get a couple fans out there before mom, that's when you know are heading up. I appreciate it.
Tell me a little bit about building your brand online too, because that social media is kind of a thing that, we all use it. But thing I do for my so tell me about building your brand online and the hurdles that there are in that, because you're on Instagram a lot, and that is, you're fighting the algorithm. You know what I mean? Like you're trying to just do whatever you kind of get your things seen. So tell me a little about building your brand on Instagram.
So hearing some social content creation podcasts for sure, all that wisdom that's out there, trying to do more with hashtags. I'm like, oh, I can actually play the algorithm, or I'll try to tag myself. Like we recently joined a club and I'm like, I'll tag myself in their photos from my business. So people will look at what is this business and try to grow followers like that. So trying to get really creative. We want to try and work with some influencers as well, try to get the product in their hand and leverage their followers. But, that is more toward fall, when I know people are Christmas shopping, and maybe they're Christmas shopping all year. I'm telling myself these stories, but I want to do it more in the fall. We want to try and peak then. I will say it's definitely a process that takes patience. We are inching towards our first 100 followers. We are still I can tell you right now, we're 11 short. So it's something like you watch that baby grow bit by bit, so it's a process, trying to learn it, trying to get creative, you learning so many new things like reel sell and try to go with trending music and this and that. And, you get all these business insights. I'm like, wow, what just happened? Like the viewership boomed. Like, what did I do different? Got to go back and look. So it's a lot of learning for sure.
Yeah. There's so much knowledge out there to take a nugget, of knowledge from each piece of content you're exposed to, people you talk to. I mean, that's how you truly build what you're, you kind of, because I do this a lot. I'll listen to podcasts or read a book or whatever and take in some advice, but I'm not making my own. And the way that guy did it was cool, but I would do it this way. And you really kind of build your own flavor. And then it becomes you. It becomes your brand and what you're doing. I know you probably have the same experience.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's been so much there's a lot of time for me for research.
Yeah.
So, before I even go post things now, because now I'm trying to figure out, and just when you feel like you have it, it changes.
The whole thing.
For sure. There's so much out there, what's the best time of the day and this and that. And some people don't fuss about it. It can be just any time. Are you telling them a real good story, or are you engaging with them before? Exactly. I didn't know these are all things, and now they are. Wow, there is a whole world out there, and there's so much to explore. So we try to do it more the organic way. It would be very tempting. I got growing kids. It'd be so tempting to hire someone to manage my social media, But I want to start small and be conscious of what money we are putting into this before we grow a little bit, right? So trying to grow it organically, bit by bit, trying to have our own followers, this is something I learned just recently. I'm trying to introduce myself. I'll share my social. So I'll share my business first. They'll get to follow my business. I follow them back. Then I show them my personal as well. So it's just trying all different things, whatever clicks.
That's cool. So what, I guess, is the big takeaway? What is the big thing that is like the most gratifying thing for you about having this business, about getting it started so far? Because you are in the new stages of it. Like, what has been the exciting part?
The most exciting is everything that we are learning. What I said earlier about like building confidence and doing cool things together with your like spouse. That is not like going to the movies or going to the mall. This is very different. So yeah, that thing is very fulfilling to me. I like how I feel like I'm blossoming in my personality. I'm seeing new aspects of myself that I haven't seen. I felt like you get jaded, you get set in your ways that this is what I'm capable of, and I'm not getting any younger, and this is all I got. But like you learn these new things. So I do feel like it's like kind of like a pivotal year for us. We started with a half marathon, never did that before. So I'm like, yeah, this is a year of change. I got to do something different this year. So
Wow,
that is super exciting.
That's awesome.
I can't get past 3 miles, so I will take a half marathon. That was amazing.
I'm back to that for right now. 3 miles. We'll probably get back to a half marathon sometime.
Every now and then I'm like in 5K health. That's the way I describe it. Like I can get up and run a 5K, and that's all right. That's what I just I get bored.
We'll get you out there.
ADHD and running, you just start thinking about everything. I gotta go do stuff. I have like 19 things on a to-do list.
Oh no.
Anyway, enough about me.
Anyway, but more about you. This has been great.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sitting down and doing this with us. Where is the best place to go find the shop online? And where can we buy these products?
So you would go to www.Vilasa.shop. That's Vilasa.shop. And our Instagram handle is Vilasa.us, Vilasa.us. And the Facebook page is Vilasa Home Accents.
Awesome.
There we go. You're going to be one closer to 100 right
That's
now.
right.
We're going to follow you from the hustle.
Absolutely. And folks, as you know, this is going to be out. I think it's right now, August something.
Sure.
Maybe.
I don't know.
We're approaching fall. I love saying that in June. People don't realize it. It's like which is what I'm doing right now. But anyway, as you're thinking about holiday shopping and Christmas shopping, all the things, this is a great way to do that.
Yeah, and you're supporting a small business in the way.
Amazing products. A wonderful family and our raising children who are about to be CEOs. Your daughter, I think, is about to turn out in her business now, which I can't wait to see it. But please support. It's going to be great. And if you are, I just let you do this part. Go ahead.
Okay. Well,
I was going to mess it up. So you just take it.
That's all right. I messed up the tagline of it. Awesome. So if you are listening to this podcast for the first time, thank you so much. Welcome. You can subscribe to Hustling Sideways wherever you get your podcasts. We are also on Facebook. We are on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We are on YouTube, and we're on TikTok as well. So we are all over all of the social media as well. So please go ahead and follow us. And then also, if you want to be a guest on the show, very simple. Just send us an email.
Tell us.
It's hustlingsideways@gmail.com. We can make it work wherever you are in the world, as we have found out. We are now the Hustling Sideways as seen on Forbes.
As seen on Forbes. You got your spirit fingers.
As linked on Forbes.
Yes.
But follow us everywhere. You can give this podcast a 5-star review. It only one that you're allowed to give.
We all make the rules about 5 stars. They make them for you.
That's how it works. And thank you so much for listening, Jim.
Keep on hustling.